Championship, doesn't matter how good a batting lineup you've got to be able to bowl sides out twice, and that's why Somerset are top and Essex are in third.
Gregory in again, bowls, and that's defended into the leg side, and there's no run. Yeah, I was just looking at the batting and bowling bonus points, and Essex have got the third fewest batting bonus points and the fewest bowling bonus points. So it's quite incredible. They're up in third place.
Yes, I'm surprised at the bowling one, not surprised at the batting, because yet again they've collapsed this afternoon, and there's hardly been a game when they haven't collapsed. The only one I can think of was at the Oval, where they actually made quite a lot of runs there and batted pretty well on, admittedly, one of the more batsman-friendly pitches that they've played on this season. And not trying to say it's been easy here this afternoon, the ball was moving around quite a bit and the bowling was excellent. So it doesn't just mean that you're no good with the bat if you collapse, but for me it happens too often for Essex. Goodavold in bowls, and Wheatley forward defensively. Pushes back to the bowler, there's no run. 66th over of the day. Essex 193 for 6 on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, and also online bbc.co.uk. Remember, you can download the BBC Sport app as well and listen to us on the go. Yeah, I remember when I joined you in the afternoon when there was only 1 wicket down, and then Wesley was out, that, you know, I wondered aloud whether there'd be another collapse, and you could see it coming really. Goodavold in bowls well wide of off stump, left alone by Wheatley. 2 slits of gully, a backward point, a cover, mid off, mid on, fine leg, and there's also a mid wicket halfway between the wicket and the boundary. Wheatley's played well so far. He's not been afraid to put bat to ball, and I think if you do see a ball coming your way that you can reach safely, then it makes sense to see if you can get it to the boundary. Goodavold bowls full, and this is whipped away through the leg side. Beats the dive of the man at mid-on, and that's going to go all the way down to the long-on boundary for 4 runs, just as Paul was saying. Put back to ball, 4 to the total, 197 for 6. Well, a rare case of the opposite of whatever the commentator's curse is. Commentator's blessing, I suppose. For once, it was rewarded with Wheatley, who I was saying was playing well, doing just that. And Essex have missed him, David, in the time he's been out. 2 months missing with a broken thumb, because the number 7 in his absence have not scored, or number 7s have not scored a lot of runs. Goodavold in bowls, and that's left alone outside the off stump, and there's no run. Just hearing latest score from the Oval. Surrey rocked over for 194 all out, having been 100 for 3. And in the end it was a little bit of a rally from them, because they were then 116 for 6 in next to no time. But Warwickshire so far going along smoothly at 22 for no wicket, with a former Surrey player, Dominic Sibley, having a great season opening the batting. Goodavold up to the stumps, bowls full, driven by Wheatley, but can't beat the man at cover. I'll tell you what though, David, whatever happens to Wheatley from here on, he's hit more fine shots on the drive in the short time he's been at the crease than all the rest put together since lunch. There were some very good shots from Nick Brown start of the day, and Wesley and Cook produced some nice ones going up to lunch, but since lunch Wheatley's the only man who's convincingly put back to ball. Goodavold in again, bowls. Oh, that beats the outside. Does it take an edge? Has that been caught? I think it's been caught, yes. He's given, so Paul Newton has talked. Yes, commentator's curse again. Commentator's blessing briefly, but back to the usual form as Wheatley. It looked a pretty good delivery. There was late movement there, and it just took the edge. And in the end, it was sort of mixture of 2 fieldsmen who seemed to eventually catch it between them. 197 for 6, and we'll clarify which of the slip fielders actually is credited with the catch. Not too sure. It might have been the actual wicketkeeper that ends up taking that. We'll find out though shortly. Remember, Essex were 126 for 1 just after lunch earlier today. They're now 197 for 7, and Wheatley is the latest man to go back to the hutch. So your man Peter Siddle is going to have to come up trumps for Essex if they're going to get a half decent total on the board, but 250 is looking a long way away. Well, second in the national batting averages, and clearly destined for great things, this young Peter Siddle. Supposedly signed for his bowling, but proving useful with the bat, however much he's flattered by being second in the national averages, having had a fair number of not outs, but he has also got genuinely useful runs and shared an 86-run partnership for the last wicket up at Headingley with the now injured Sam Cook, who has a side strain and could be out for up to 6. In fact, just hearing Steve Davis, as you rightly said, Dave, is credited with the catch there, and a good one too, because it wasn't a foregone conclusion by any manner of means to get rid of Adam Wheater, who made 21, and a good effort as far as it went. But I would say that in the form the Essex bowling attack have been in this season, I think they will take quite a lot of surviving when Somerset's turn comes to bat, which may not be in very long.
No, should be batting by the end of the day if the current trend continues. Here comes Gregory, just taking the wicket of Adam Wheater, and he's in now, and he bowls to Harmer, who on the front foot drives, gets a thick outside edge. Oh, there's a run out chance, a shy at the stumps from the man at cover, and Siddle could have been out before facing a ball there.
That wasn't too clever from the normally very sage Simon Harmer, because he hit the ball without timing off the very bottom of his bat, which he's now examining. There was a bit of hesitation, and they said, come on, there's a run there, and Tom Abel is the best fieldsman in the Somerset side and specialises in direct hits on the stumps, and you've been a bit lucky, bearing in mind he had the better part of 3 stumps to aim at. You've been a bit lucky if he misses from there, and you're right, I mean, Peter Siddle was gone for all money if that had hit.
But he survives, and he's now on strike. 3 slips of gully, a backward point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and there'll be a fine leg as well. Here comes Gregory in on his toes. Siddle defends this one into the leg side, and he just takes his mark again. Coming down, prodding the pitch.
A lot of Essex players of the past are here today on President's Day. 7 of the side that gave Essex their long-awaited first triumph in the 1979 Benson and Hedges were paraded in front of the pavilion at tea.
Gregory in, bowls to Siddle, works it off the pads, but mid-wicket will filled, no run.
And they were, amongst others, I doubt whether I can remember all 7 off the top of my head, but Graham Gooch, J.K. Lieber, Keith Fletcher, the captain, of course. Then we had the spin twins, David Ackfield and Ray East, Brian Hardy, who hit the winning runs when a month later Essex won the 79 Championship, and Stuart Turner. And also on the ground today is Derek Pringle signing copies of his new book. Gregory
in again from the Hayes close end, and he bowls to Siddle, who defends out into the offside this time, backward point fields, and there's no run. Just gone 20 past 4 on this Sunday afternoon, and Essex in trouble, 198 for 7.
They'll be very pleased that they had the best of the morning session and scored quite quickly.
Yeah.
Because that 110 for 1, I mean, fair play, as you rightly imply, 198 for 7 looks as if they're in trouble, but of course we're not to know what's really happening in the game until we see how Somerset bat, but those runs before lunch could well come in very useful.
Gregory in to Siddle, who pushes out into the offside, and it's fielded by Abel at mid-off, and there's no run.
Interesting just to look at the partnerships in this game, which have been 50, 76, 12, 11, 19, 16 and 15. You can see from that there haven't been 2 wickets that have fallen right on top of each other, with all partnerships getting into double figures, but since the first 2 partnerships, nothing really getting even so far as 20.
Gregory down the slope, bowls to Siddle, again works it off the pads, but again picks out the fielder here. Square of the wicket, and there is a dot ball to finish the over. 67 overs gone, and Essex are 198 for 7, with Siddle yet to score and Harmer on 2, and really Essex relying on these 2 batsmen to get them up to a respectable total.
Yes, I would be tempted, having been very impressed with how Jamie Overton has bowled today, with his extra pace, I would be tempted to bring him back straight away, see if he can knock over the tail, because he's troubled the front line batsmen, and I think he might be a real handful for the tailenders.
Goodabel from the river end, up the slope, bowls to Harmer, it's down the leg side, It goes through to the wicket-keeper.
I must thank, I think it's Tony Amos for instigating a quiz that we had on air today as to who Aaron Beard, who's in the side today for Essex but hasn't played a lot of times, who the emailer reminded him of, and the clue was South Africans still playing, and the actual answer Tony was able to correct us was Malcolm Marshall.
Grudevelt in, bowls to Harmer, who defends into the leg side. To be fair to Tony, he was clear in his first email. I was an international player of a long time ago, and I unfortunately got the emails mixed up.
Yep.
But you know, it happens.
There we are. Well, it all adds to the fun. And I can see why someone would think it reminded him a bit of Malcolm Marshall, because both Aaron Beard and Malcolm Marshall, similar heights and similar type of run-up.
Grudevelt bowling to Harmer. He's in now. That's down the leg side as well, taken by the wicket-keeper, and again, no run.
Well, Simon Harmer has not had the best of times with the bat very recently, but he got 100 at the Oval at the end of last season, started this season in good form with more useful runs at the Oval, and Essex could do with him coming to the party here, because even if it turns out that the score they've got on the board is still quite a useful total, it is a sharp decline from having been 126 for 1.
Grudevelt in, bowls full, whipped away off the pads down the leg side. There's a chase out to the boundary, but he's not going to get there. It's well timed by Simon Harmer, all the way out towards the pavilion, just in front, just behind square on the leg side, and that takes Essex over the 200 mark. It's 202 for 7. Harmer goes to 6.
And Essex to 1 in terms of batting bonus points. I claim a 2-1 lead in my talking people up. 1 for Wheater, 1 for Harmer, but then I talk Wheater out eventually.
Grunewald in, bowls to Harmer, who defends into the leg side. That's fielded by Azhar Ali, coming in from mid-on. And there's a dot ball.
Very talented lineup Somerset have, and no great surprise, bearing in mind they've been pretty good in the County Championship in recent seasons, so close to winning it for the first time in 2016. Indeed, only the fact that the two rivals, Yorkshire and Middlesex, were both playing each other in the final game that season rather did Somerset out of it.
Grunewald into Harmer outside the offside ball, and Harmer goes fishing, beats the outside edge of the bat. That's a loose stroke from the Essex spinner, and he survives, and that's the end of the over. 68 gone, and Essex are 202 for 7.
Yes, of course, a contrived finish that wouldn't have taken place at any other juncture in the season between Yorkshire and Middlesex meant that one of them was going to win and go past Somerset. So certainly I think that the neutrals would be delighted if Somerset got over the line this time, and you feel that they won't have a better chance with Surrey having a real off-season so far, and very deservedly Somerset have built up a useful lead.
Gregory continuing from the Hayes close end. He's in now and he bowls to Siddle, who punches through the offside. It's beaten the infield. There's a chase out towards the boundary. It should just be 2 runs as the slide comes in from Abel, and the throw, that's a bit wild, but taken by the wicket-keeper, and it's 2 to the total, 204 for 7, and Siddle off the mark.
Shot of a man in form.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Visibly second in the national averages. It won't last, but nevertheless it's not a complete fluke either, because he has played 2 or 3 absolutely vital innings for Essex when they've been struggling in just this sort of position, and the runs he's made, often not out, has enabled Essex to gain small advantages.
Gregory up to the stumps, right arm over, bowls to Siddle. Oh, bowls full of length, the ball nipping away, and Siddle prodding at it, and he goes through to the wicket-keeper, and there is a dot ball. I don't wonder if he's one of those types of bowlers that does enjoy his batting.
Oh, I think so, and it's in the Australian temperament and psyche, isn't it, that they take, quite rightly, they take everything very seriously, and you don't see many complete duffers among Australian bowlers. You know, they all, have a bit of rivalry with each other.
Gregory in, bowls to Siddle, who defends into the offside, and it's a dot ball, 204 for 7. Yeah, the last one I can really think of been an I wouldn't even say that, actually. It just wasn't very good with the bat. It was probably Glenn McGrath, wasn't it?
Yep.
Out of the bowlers.
Yep, no, you're probably right, and even he wasn't the worst you'd ever see, but
No.
you're right, he well, of course he never got much practice. They got such a good lineup in his day, Australia. I mean, part of the great Australian side that were kings of the world really through the 1990s, certainly the second half of that decade.
Gregory in, bowls to Siddle, and he defends up towards mid-off, and there is no run.
But I think, you know, it behoves all bowlers really. I mean, you've got a lot of days when there isn't a match going on and plenty of time to practice, and very often if you can make at least some sort of contribution, it can be vital. For instance, you may have a guy who's 105 not out at the other end and just wants you to hang around for 40 minutes or so. So you've got crucial roles to play and plenty of time to practice in, so I think they should all be hard at it.
Gregory coming in now, bowls to Siddle, who's on the drive up towards mid-off, and it's another dot ball. So 12 overs including this one until the new ball is available. Will Essex make them, or will Somerset choose to take it if Essex get that far?
Just hearing South Africa 103 for 2 in the 23rd over, nearly the end of it, needing 309 to beat Pakistan. Although it seems quite a decent score, South Africa for me are not great under pressure batting second.
Gregory in to Siddle, and covers up defensively and plays it back to the bowler, and that's the end of the over. 69 overs gone. Essex at 204 for 7. I'm not entirely sure what's happened to South Africa. They've rather collapsed at this World Cup, haven't
yeah,
they?
and if you think of it, they've always had this tendency, perhaps not as badly as this year. They normally leave it to the closing stages before they have a real disaster, but no, it hasn't gone at all well for them. Warwickshire, by the way, replying to Surrey's seemingly meagre 194 all out at the Oval, still got all 10 wickets in hand. They're 38 for no wicket, and I think Warwickshire have got a game plan to fight their way out of trouble, and that is to bat very carefully, very slowly, but not lose many wickets.
Grunewald in, takes the edge, but guided down into the ground. Harmer on strike, and that ends up in the hands of Gully on the bounce. Dot ball. 70th over of the Essex innings. 204 for 7 here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, and online bbc.co.uk.
Yeah, every sort of over there seems to be at least one ball, often two, that the ball is really moving about and beating the batsman.
Grunewald in, bowls, that's on the pads, and that's worked away into the leg side. It'll just be a single down towards deep mid-wicket. 1 to the total, 205 for 7. You know, we talk about South Africa choking a little bit, but England haven't really covered themselves in glory when it's come to tight finishes in this World Cup so far.
No, you're absolutely right, and their tactic, which looks so good when it works, of throwing the bat from the word go, but it's always going to leave you vulnerable. Particularly, I think we haven't even got to the knockout stages yet, and they're not certain to reach them either, but if they do get that far, you know, I think you have to have a plan B which stands up for you, where when you need to defend you can do.
Grunewald in, bowls outside off Stumple, and it's got Siddle reaching for it, beats the outside edge of the bat, goes through to the wicketkeeper, and there's no run. 205 for 7. Yes, I believe they're playing at Lords on Tuesday, which is the first time Lords has been used in the competition. Would that be correct? Is that right, Dave? I think Dave Jackman was agreeing.
They're playing at Lords today, apparently.
Oh, okay. Grunewald in, bowls, and that's off the pads. I think that's going to be a leg by. Let's see what the umpire signals. It's going to be a leg by. 206 for 7. Well, a point I was going to make is that the pitches, some of the pitches they're using, are used pitches, and they're the ones that England England's game plan tends to start to crack on.
No, absolutely. I mean, really, if they want to use home advantage, all groundsmen, and it's known where the games are going to be, should be preparing fresh pitches for when England arrive.
Grunewald in, bowls to Harmer, stepping outside off stump, and again throwing the bat at the ball but missing it completely, beats the outside edge and through to the wicketkeeper. 206 for 7.
If England do win the World Cup, I will have a very strong suspicion, David, that Jason Roy has made a great recovery, because I'm afraid I can't fancy his replacement to make a significant contribution.
No, Still a bit for James Vince. Here comes Gunnervale, bowls. Oh, that wraps Harmer in a delicate area, and that drops into the offside, and that's the end of the over. 70 gone, 206 for 7. Yeah, of course Moeen Ali could bat up top if James Vince fails to convince.
We could, but it's sort of hasn't been totally convincing up there when he does bat at the top of the order, and he himself has said he much prefers being sort of number 7. I think, bearing in mind we're moving into 3 very difficult games against New Zealand, India and Australia in the final 3 matches of the pre-tournament, as it were, you're almost certainly going to have top sides to play in the if England get as far as the knockout stages. So I think I think they're going to have to hope that Jason Roy makes a recovery. He's a vital player in any case for England, but in the current situation he looks an essential player if England are to progress.
And he's due back, is he, against Australia?
Well, they think there's a good chance, yes. Of course, you've got to say that India, who looked the best side in the tournament, only just got over the line yesterday against the Minnows, you know, very well played to Afghanistan, you know, and when you think what the odds were against them ever being in this situation sort of 10 or 15 years ago, it's a phenomenal achievement just to turn up and be in it, but almost to beat India. Go into that last over with 16 to win, and the first ball went for 4. You know, cracking good effort.
So Jamie Overton going to return from the Hayes close end. Extra pace, hopefully put a bit of fear into the Essex batsman. Siddle on strike, and he's immediately beaten outside the off stump.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that Tom Abel needed to do here, to turn to Jamie Overton. He's got extra pace, he's got extra bounce, he's bowled thoroughly well today, and for me there has to be a good chance that he can frighten out the tail. At this stage, if you offer me from an Essex point of view 250, I'd take it.
Yeah, 206 for 7 in the 71st over. That first delivery back of a length, rising on Siddle. I wonder if he goes short again or goes straight for a full length delivery. He's gone fuller, and again just beating the outside of the batsman's bat.
Another good ball from Overton.
Yeah, it was good length, bringing the batsman forward.
A little bit of movement away off the pitch. Siddle never really getting convincingly into line there, and this will be just what Tom Abel will be wanting from his quickest bowler. Meanwhile, I don't know if he'll come into the attack, but Jack Leach was just doing a little bit of warming up.
Overton, right arm over to the right-handed Siddle, gets some bat on it this time, open face of the bat, doesn't beat the man at backward point. Good stop there, diving away to his left-hand side.
George Bartlett
doing the fielding.
Saves 4 runs really, or certainly at least 2 or 3. We have to hesitate slightly because unusually for Chelmsford this has been a slowish outfield today, in spite of, I wouldn't say that this part of the country has had the worst of recent rains, but certainly in the game against Hampshire the ball was going very much more quickly to the boundary. Overton coming in again, bowls to Siddle, down the leg side this time, and there's no run.
206 for 7, 2 balls left in the over. Leach going through some elaborate warm-ups.
Warwickshire now 53 for no wicket, replying to Surrey's 194 all out. And yeah, they are struggling somewhat, you'd think, Surrey, unless they can suddenly take a lot of wickets.
Overton in again, bowls short, and Siddle comfortably ducks underneath that one, and there's no run.
One good bit of news for Surrey, bearing in mind they've had a horrendous injury list this season, but I noticed Sam Curran is back in the side today, so even if he doesn't have a great match in the current game, and he was out for naught, but Surrey will be delighted to have him back.
Overton moving in now, bowls to Siddle, again down the leg side, just losing his line towards the end of that over, and it finishes 206 for 7, 71 overs gone, and the Essex were 126 for 1, so
Yeah, good fight back this by Somerset. Yeah, just talking of Sam Curran, if he were able to sort of show that he'd come back and was making good runs and useful with the ball, and England did get through to the closing stages, you could always shove everybody up one in the order and bring Curran in, you know, around about 7 or 8.
Yeah, I presume you'd have to... Oh, you're assuming that Jason Roy... Because you can only replace them when they're injured, right?
Yeah.
Or are you suggesting we felled someone in the England side? Just to make room for...
I'm sorry, James, but... It is going to be Jack Leach coming back into the attack at the river end.
This is my last over before handing over to Stephen Lamb. Everyone's going through a few stretches. Who's out on the deeps? Stretching the old...
I think that's probably Tim Grunewald, who's come out of the attack now, but perhaps he's getting ready for his next spell. Perhaps he knows something we don't, and Essex are going to still be there in another hour's time. He's bowled well, actually. He's only got one of the 7 wickets to fall, but he's really been a handful for the Essex batsman today. He's a very useful cricketer. Doesn't always get into the Somerset side, but always makes himself useful when he does, and I think he's bowled very well today.
So Leach on from the river end, just coming up to 20 to 5 in the late afternoon, and it's Harmer on strike. He's got a man at silly point and a slip in as Leach bowls and gets defended back down the pitch, and there's no run. 206 for 7 here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Somerset, and online bbc.co.uk. Download the app to BBC Sport app. You can listen to us on the go. As Leach stands to attention, he's moving in now, past the umpire, left arm round, just drifts onto the pads of Harmer, and that's an easy put away for Harmer. That's a bit of a gimme shot, that one. And Harmer dispatches him to the boundary, backward a square on the leg side. 210 for 7, and not a great delivery from Leach. No,
Simon Harmer's a big man, very strong man, but he didn't have to prove it there. It was all timing. Just got a friendly delivery and helped it on its way over the square leg boundary, where a fielder has now been posted.
Leach into Harmer, who drives down the ground this time, but he won't beat the man. Oh, there's a bit of a misfield, so they will get a single. I feared that might happen. It didn't quite look convincing from Overton when he went to go and pick up that ball. You being a former PE teacher would have been, or a teacher that took her cricket anyway.
Yes,
been all over
I'm
your
glad
with that.
You're quite right to make that reservation, because one thing you wouldn't have found me doing is being head of PE. Anything to do with gymnastics, count me out.
Not flexible enough.
No. Not physically, anyway. Morally, maybe.
Oh, there's an LBW appeal and he's gone. Yeah, straight in front of the stumps. That one played all around it, did Peter Siddle. So the bowling changes worked. Essex lose their 8th wicket, and they're 211 for 8, and that was absolutely plumb.
It was, and I'm afraid Peter Siddle has plummeted in the averages here, and no longer second in the national averages, and he walks away clutching the bat by the blade rather than the handle, which is always a sign that the batsman either thinks he wasn't out, or is thoroughly disgruntled with himself. And yeah, he played all around that, and now we see the subtlety of Jamie Overton's misfield. It meant instead of bowling to Harmer, it was Peter Siddle on strike, and he's gone very next ball. Clever bit of misfielding.
So new man in is probably going to be Jamie Porter. Wait till he reveals. It might be Aaron Beard, but
it is Aaron Beard.
It's Aaron Beard. Okay.
Alias Malcolm Marshall, alias Dale Steyn.
Yeah.
Very versatile.
He's just having a chat with Simon Harmer here. I'm not sure there's huge amounts he can say other than get bat on ball and try and get us up to somewhere towards 250. It's been a great comeback from Somerset.
And it's a continuation of these teenage partnerships, if I may put it that way. Since the first 2 partnerships of 50 and 76, all subsequent ones have gone like this: 12, 11, 19, 16, 15 and 14.
Abel just having a word with Leach as Beard takes his guard, goes through stretches at the crease, down his haunches, back up again, adjusting his pads. and Leach will come left arm over to the left-handed Aaron Beard. He's got a slip and a short leg in. No one else around the bat. Maybe could get at least one more fielder in there, I would have thought. Maybe someone in front of the square on the offside, silly point. Leach bowls to Beard, gives some air, and Beard just covers up, defending back down the pitch.
9.
And there is no run. Coming up to quarter to 5.
Yeah, I'm just being told by David Jackman I've got one of the partnerships wrong. It was only 9 for the 4th wicket, but
I thought you were good at man.
Never let the facts get in the way of a good story, as that one's defended back down the pitch and there's no run. That is the end of the over. Paul Newton, you can take over commentary, and Stephen Lamb will come into the summarisers chair.
Well, David Jackman just saying he thought I was good at maths. Well, we all make mistakes, as 211 for 8 is the score on the board. Simon Harmer is the man on whom Essex will most depend if they're to at least raise the score somewhere up into a healthier looking 240, 250 range, and he'll rely on Aaron Beard first of all and then Jamie Porter for support. That's the theory of it. Doesn't mean it'll work out that way at all, particularly with Jamie Overton spitting fire from the Hayes close end. 211 for 8 for score on the board, and from an Essex point of view, an all too familiar decline. They've so often sort of got towards 3 figures, if not past it, with only 1 or 2 down, and next thing you know they've nearly been bowled out this season. As here is Overton, and uncomfortable delivery to Harmer, goes off an outside edge to backward point. They can scoot through for a single before Tom Abel can run from cover to field. 212 for 8, and Harmer moves up to 13. Stephen, welcome back.
Thanks, Paul. It'll be interesting to see how this pitch develops as the match progresses.
No, indeed.
Not sure how good a total this is, or how poor a total it is. It may not be a bad one.
No, quite right. There's certainly Somerset have bowled well, but they've had help from the conditions, not least the climatic conditions. It's been a humid day, and it's set to get more humid as the game goes on. Here, Beard's first delivery from Overton. He can afford to allow to go through to Stephen Davis. Overton reacts, looking rather disappointedly, makes the way back to the top of his mark.
And it'll also be interesting to see how the 2 Essex men out there perform in the day job.
Yes.
The bowling.
No, absolutely right.
Because they've been such stalwarts, haven't they?
They have.
Recent times.
So here is Overton to Beard. 2 slips, a wide gully. Down leg side. And now Overton there is hopping around on one leg. I think he's all right, but clearly I think he landed a tad awkwardly on his ankle there, the right ankle, but I think he's going to be okay, making his way back slightly feelingly to the top of his run-up.
Yes, I think he's okay.
Certainly don't think he'd want to be taken out of the attack at the moment. 3 wickets under his belt and 2 tail-enders to aim at us. Here is Overton in, bowls, and Beard plays this back to the bowler and nicks it up nicely off the boot into his hand. I say 2 tail-enders, a bit unkind to Simon Harmer, who's actually very capable, but nevertheless he's lower middle order.
Yeah, the way he kicked that up very neatly
Was
Jamie Overton. That's a good sign.
I always remember Fred Truman doing that. Very good at it. He actually, Overton, flicked it up from the instep, whereas Truman used to do it from the outside of the boot. As Overton bowls, and that's a leave, and quite professionally left by Beard, who has scored a lot of runs in club and second 11 cricket. 212 for 8.
Yes, it's the first I've seen of him. We've got Jamie Porter due in next at number 11.
South Africa have lost another wicket. They're 130 for 3. Still needing 179 to win from 22 overs. That's over an 8 and 0, or just about 8 and over. And with the South Africans' tendency to flag under pressure, as here's a play and a miss from Beard. He's a left-hander, and well bowled by Overton, but doesn't take the edge. And at the end of that over, 73 bowled, Essex choosing to bat at 212 for 8. Yes, just going back to South Africa, my money would be on Pakistan at this stage, Stephen.
Mine too. Yeah, and Surrey are struggling, aren't they, in that game against Warwickshire?
They certainly are. Warwickshire 55 for no wicket. In reply to Surrey's 194 all out, and everyone accepts that Surrey have had wretched luck with injuries and test calls, but they were so good last season, and they really have fallen in a bit of a hole this season so far.
Yeah.
Alex Stewart will not be pleased. He's a man who demands high standards, certainly set them very much himself as a player, and having got his beloved Surrey to the title last year, he won't be at all pleased at the current turn of events. There is still time for them to come back in the current game, but certainly it's been all Warwickshire's day so far, and Surrey's still looking for that elusive first win. And if you'd said this would be their 7th game of the season, that coming to halfway they still haven't won a game, you'd
you
be
wouldn't
staggered.
have thought that, would you?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you'd struggle to think that of anyone, really. Most sides managed to win a game somewhere along the line, although Nottinghamshire haven't, as Leach is in to bowl to Simon Harmer. Harmer defends into the offside. Abel fields in the covers, 212 for 8. Going to be interesting to see if Harmer feels, well, just 10 and 11 at the other end. Do I wait for the right ball and then see if I can hit a boundary or two? Leach around the wicket, bowls, tosses this one up, met on the full by Harmer, single, out to George Bartlett, deep mid-wicket, front of the pavilion, 213 for 8. Beard will now face Leach, and Harmer moves on to 14.
Yes, the left-hander on strike now, just taking guard down at that Hayes close end. He's got a slip and a short leg for company.
Leach comes in once again to bowl to Beard. Beard forward, played back to the bowler. Beard playing like a man who realises that his number one task is to try and keep Simon Harmer company, rather than go for any glory and perhaps loft the ball away, which is something he's well capable of doing. Here comes Leach again, river end, passes another slow left arm, umpire Nick Cook, and this ball's played out nicely, fielded on the tumble by the, normally you'd say square leg umpire, but he's standing at point, is Graham Lloyd, and nicely fielded there, no run. Jack Brooks. Leach coming over the wicket to the left-hander, as is his wont. Bowls, and solidly defended by Beard into the offside, no run, 213 for 8. Far cry from a one-time 126 for 1, but once the wickets started falling, they've kept on falling very consistently. Next ball's pitched up and played back to the bowler. End of the 74th over, 6 to the new ball should it be necessary, and Essex 213 for 8 have lost their last 7 wickets while adding only 87.
Yeah, 3 wickets for Jamie Overton today, 2 apiece for Lewis Gregory and Tim Greneveld, and 1 for Jack Leach. And economy rates for Jack Leach is the best, 1.95, and then Lewis Gregory, Jamie Overton, Tim Greneveld, all around 2.5. Jamie Overton is going to continue. I think he's been the standout today with his pace and hostility.
Just hearing South Africa have lost a 4th wicket, 136 for 4. Jamie Overton's in, 2 slips a wide gully, goes right through Harmer's defences there, and could easily have knocked over his off stump, could easily have taken the edge. It does neither. 213 for 8. South Africa 136 for 4, needing 309, and they're in the 30th over, so they need another 170 odd. Amler made 2, De Kock 47, Markram 7, and just gone is Duplessis for a top scoring 63, top scoring to date, second wicket for Mohammed Amir, who's going to be rejoining Essex in part of the T20 tournament later this summer. Plays 8 games as Overton's in bowls, and that's a leave outside off stump. And South Africa's travails appear to be continuing.
Very much so. Yes, it's a tough target, and with 4 wickets down, it's quite hard to imagine them getting there, really.
Well, they've got that worst of scenarios as well. 2 relatively new batsmen to the crease. Van der Dusen has got 16 not out, and he did make a decent score the other day. Miller, capable of big hitting, has just come in, yet to get off the mark. But when you need 8 and over with only 6 wickets left, and as good a bowler as Mohammed Amir, amongst others, to face, as Overton's in bowls and again completely goes through Harmer's defences, 213 for 8. He really has bowled well today, Jamie Overton.
Yeah, that's much too good for Simon Harmer, going past his outside edge. You've got Mohammed Amir coming here. Somerset have a Pakistani coming for T20 as well, but not a bowler, a batsman in the form of Babar Azam.
Ah, yeah. Well,
sounds like a Beach Boys song.
It does actually, yes. Bar 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 Azam.
That's what they'll be singing in the crowd.
Yeah, it is. Yes, hopefully Somerset listeners will already be making sure they've got the words straight for that. Shouldn't take you long. As here is Overton in, and again goes through Harmer's defences here, and just not quite good enough to get the edge, I think is what you'd say there. And well, he's got 3 wickets, could have been twice that number really, and it does seem remarkable that Somerset loaned him out only a month ago to Northamptonshire for a couple of games, because on this form he looks the sort of bowler who can do the Morne Morkel job that the South African did for Surrey last year.
Yeah, well, it's really competitive, the bowling squad they've got.
It is, because Craig Overton's injured at the moment, and here is Jamie, bowls to Harmer, and Harmer, almost a crime I think in the view of the bowler. He's played the ball away into the offside for a single before Abel can nip round from cover towards point to field, and 214 for 8. Harmer moves up to 15, but there's no doubt who's been on top in this over. Harmer has somehow survived it because there's only 1 ball left of it, and that will be down to Aaron Beard to face.
Yeah, well, he's played and missed 3 times, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Harmer. Excellent over, without reward for Jamie Overton.
Well, come to the point after this last ball of the over, bowling to Aaron Beard, left-hander. Plays it well enough and gets a single, wide of mid-on. And that sees Essex at 215 for 8, with Beard off the mark. Harmer has 15, but a point I was going to make, Stephen, is that Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad on the threshold of 1,000 test wickets between them, absolutely phenomenal. They can't go on a great deal longer reasonably, and have England got bowlers who could step into their shoes? Well, there's a pair of Overtons for starters who you certainly wouldn't dismiss lightly.
And Lewis Gregory.
Lewis Gregory, yes. Possibly Jamie Porter would come into the reckoning as well. He's taken as many wickets as, indeed, quite a lot more wickets than most people in the last 2 or 3 seasons. So
they're all candidates, aren't
yeah,
they?
and there's, you know, we're talking about Essex and Somerset here, but other counties also. You know, brace of Currans at Surrey, for example. So a lot of possibilities. 76 over about to begin. Jack Leach will bowl it from the river end. And there's an appeal here. I think there might have been an inside edge there anyway, and I think the ball may just have turned past the leg stump. 215 for 8.
Of course, presumably Jofra Archer will be in the frame.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think he won't be so much in the frame as in the team.
Absolutely. I mean, based on the evidence we've seen so far,
you're almost thinking, thank goodness he's opted to play for England, because he looks a crackerjack. As the next ball's tossed up, driven, it's very well stopped in the covers, but they can get a single as George Bartlett just got the right hand to the ball in the nick of time, was well struck by Aaron Beard, and I don't think he'd quite have gone for 4, but I think they'd have been able to get maybe 3. So saves 2 runs, 216 for 8. Beard has 2.
Yes, it's a good stop by Bartlett, or good, mostly stop.
Yeah. Leach coming round the wicket to Simon Harmer. Short extra cover, almost a silly mid-off in place. Ball just played up to that very man, and there will be no run there. That's Tom Banton, and he hasn't got many mentions in the field today, not because he's done anything wrong, but just hasn't had a lot to do in the field. Leach again. Bowls, and an almighty thrash, and that sees the end of Simon Harmer, collected by Stephen Davis, and 216 for 9. And really Simon Harmer never looked at all comfortable out there today, be it against Jamie Overton or the spin of Jack Leach, who gets his second wicket. 216 for 9.
Yeah, well bowled, Jack Leach. That's his second wicket, and good catch by Stephen Davis. They're always sharp standing up, aren't they? And I don't know how big the deflection was. It's difficult to be sure from here, but it was neatly taken. Yeah,
I mean, Harmer also walks off holding the bat by the blade, not the handle. I think he should be a little bit chastising of himself there, because he really threw the bat at that in a way he hasn't been playing, and he hasn't actually been connecting well enough with the ball anyway to make much sense of that.
Yeah, I just wonder whether he was a bit unsettled by that Jamie Overton over when
very good point.
Played and missed, and three times.
I made the point earlier that a bowler can sometimes bowl really good balls and not get a wicket, but then the unravelling of the batsman through those good balls that nearly got a wicket can then enable that bowler to get wickets with a less good ball. But he can also, I mean, they always said of Brian Statham that he got a lot of wickets for Fred Truman at the other end, because Statham was so accurate that when Truman came on, they took more risks against him and duly got out. And on that occasion, I think you're right, I think the effect Overton had when he beat Harmer, all ends up 3 times in an over, was to induce a sense of panic, really. 216 for 9. Jamie Porter comes out to join Aaron Beard.
Yeah, it was a bit of a speculative shot, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did get 15, so he's done as well as just about anyone else since the top 3, who were Brown with 29, Cook 80, and Tom Wesley 36, and since then only Adam Wheater has reached the dizzy heights of 20 for Essex.
So it's looking less and less likely that Somerset are going to need a new ball. And this is the 76th over with the existing one, and increasingly likely that we're going to see Somerset bat before the end of the day. They've got their 3 bowling points now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty certain, really, because we've still got 21 overs, or 20 overs after this one. Of course, you take a couple off between innings, but that leaves 18 at the moment as Leach bowls. Porter, who's quite good at blocking an end up, has pushed this into the offside. 216 for 9, and Tom Banton just being switched over to silly point here from forward short leg. As here comes Leach around the wicket, bowls to Porter, plays it very carefully to Tom Abel in the covers. Another over ends, 4 overs to the second new ball, but will it be needed? 76 overs gone, and Essex at one time 126 for 1, at 216 for 9. Well, 216 is, if you like, an anagram of 126, but boy, has the game changed in the wicket column.
Well, indeed. Yeah, it was 126 for 1, wasn't it, at one stage?
Yep.
So it is, since the dismissal of Tom Wesley, that was on 126, then just 12 added before Dan Lawrence was out, then just 9 before Ravi Bapara went, 19, then Ryan Tenderskata dismissed. Just regular intervals these wickets have been falling. Sir Alistair going next on the total of 182, then 197 for 7, Adam Wheater's dismissal. They've just chipped away relentlessly.
Until this last wicket went down, there hadn't been 2 that had gone really quickly together, but as fast as the partnership got into double figures, it was broken. And great work from Somerset as Jack Brooks comes back into the attack at the Hayes close end, and quite a nice shot here, square cut from Aaron Beard, but finds the fieldsman in the covers there to prevent any run at all. That is Jack Leach, and score remains 216 for 9. Getting rather overcast now. We were not promised, but it was suggested there might be the odd storm before the day's out. It's been a muggy day, light not great. I think we might have the floodlights on before long. Brooks is in and bowls well outside off stump, and Beard leaves that to Davis.
Yeah, it's a good move by Tom Abel to bring Jack Brooks on. He's the one wicketless member of the Somerset attack. It'd be nice if he could finish things off.
Yeah, it would.
One in the right column.
To be honest, he has probably been the loosest of the Somerset bowlers. Not that he hasn't bowled some good deliveries, but he has also bowled a few 4 balls. As Brooks is in and bowls, and Beard has driven at this and missed, and taken by Stephen Davis in the gathering gloom here, 216 for 9.
Yeah, Beard seems to be intent on dealing with Brooks in rather the similar way as Brown did earlier on in the match.
Yes.
With 3 boundaries off consecutive deliveries from Nick Brown.
Well, I think if he could repeat the trick, Essex would settle for another dozen runs here as Brooks is in and bowls to him, and well ducked out of the way by Beard, who set himself to have a go at a short ball, but it was actually moving away down the offside. He's a left-hander, Beard. I think he quite rightly said, I'm having nothing to do with that, and lowered the bat.
Yeah. The intent, though, looks rather similar to Adam Wheater's when he was batting.
Yes, that's right. Porter will tend to perhaps just defend, leaving Beard to have a bit of a go as Brooks bowls to Beard, and Beard guides this one safely enough to point for no run. Jack Leach 216 for 9.
Yeah, so we see another aggressive stroke from Beard in this over. Can Essex survive till the new ball is taken? And if so, who will take it? Or will Somerset take it at all with 9 wickets down?
Brooks, ace close end to Beard. Beard again drives and misses. Score remaining 216 for 9. Warwickshire have added another few. 64 for no wicket, replying to Surrey's 194 all out. One thing I've noticed about Warwickshire is it doesn't bother them if they bat incredibly slowly. I think they had a good chat amongst themselves when they'd only got 10 points from 3 games, relegation form if ever there was any, and since then they've won 2 and drawn 1, and when they played, I think it was Nottinghamshire, they were still batting on the 3rd day, and that was a game that, if I remember rightly, I think that was the one that was drawn, but I think they've taken the view that they're going to, at least in football terms, keep clean sheets and fight their way through, and all credit to them. And they've taken pretty much as many points as anyone over the last 3 games, and look as if they could have quite a handsome haul at the Oval in the current game, with very much Warwickshire's day, now only 130 behind Surrey with all 10 wickets to play with. And Leach, now in the 78th over, comes into bowl to Jamie Porter, who defends into the offside no run.
Tweet from Robert Blackwell: Somerset bowlers rewarded for sticking to their task. Enjoying the commentary. Overcast in East Devon too.
Yes.
Not just here,
no,
in Chelmsford.
In actual fact, they're doing well if it's just overcast. Leach is in. Bowls, tossed up, nice shot from Porter, but straight to Abel in the covers. 216 for 9. Because I saw a forecast for the West Country, and it was pretty bad for today, and certainly for Devon, Cornwall and Wales, the forecast was that the every likelihood of a bit of a dousing, as Leach is in to bowl to Porter, and that Porter's out, I think. Yes, he's walking, and he's tried to back cut the ball, edged through to the very capable Stephen Davis, and the Essex innings ends. They were 126 for 1, having chosen to bat. They are 216 all out, and Porter dashes off because he knows that his will be the next action in this game. He will open the bowling from the Hayes close end, which he's rather made his own in his career. But is 216 a good score? Well, we'll have a clearer idea when we get to the close of play.
We will, and by this time tomorrow as well. Yeah, that will be fascinating to see how Somerset go with the bat. Tweet from Grumpy Git: great effort this by the best bowling unit in county cricket. I'm not sure whether Paul would
big in the
Swing
world.
around, new ball, loop around.
Right, yeah, absolutely. South Africa need 149 in 15 overs. 10 over. Takes some doing.
How many they're down?
They're 4 down.
4 down.
Yeah, 160 for 4 in 35. I'll see if I can find what's happened today. Ah, here he is. In you go.
Can I never crunch cream?
You can.
Opening the Somerset first inning from Abel and Tom Hayden takes strike from Porter, opening the ball in from 8:07.
Take one for later if you can't eat it now. Join the commentary in the third over if Yes, okay.
Welcome back, and we're watching Jamie Porter come in to bowl the first ball of the Somerset innings to Tom Abel, who drives it magnificently through extra cover for 4. Somerset, having bowled Essex out for 216, have runs off the board at the earliest possible opportunity. Dropped slightly short by Jamie Porter, and Abel off the back foot. Timed that one to perfection. So Somerset 4 without loss. 3 slips and a gully for Tom Abel as Porter is in, and that's a good delivery. Yorker, which Abel drops the bat firmly down on, just pushes it back down the pitch. So 3 slips and a gully. Backward point, mid off, mid on, mid wicket and a long leg. That's the Essex field. As Porter runs in from the Hayes close end, and that's a full length delivery which Tom Abel defends back to him. Good afternoon, David Brett.
Afternoon, Stephen. Great stuff from Somerset, 9 for 90. Essex lost in that afternoon and early evening session.
Yes, it was a good comeback after Essex had dominated the first session of the match with Alistair Cook, Nick Brown and then Tom Westley. Porter is in, and Abel just pulls his bat inside the line of that as it goes past his off stump. But this is going to be quite a searching examination of the Somerset batsman now coming up by this excellent Essex attack. Still overcast in Chelmsford, and the lights haven't been deployed yet. It's not impossible though that they will be before the close. As Porter runs in, bowls to Abel, who drives straight to backward point. Won't get a run for that. We've got 15 overs remaining today, including this one. So an opportunity for Essex to make a breakthrough or two. Porter turns, and the slips go down as he comes into bowl to Abel. He plays that firmly. It sounded rather odd as it hit the bat. There might be a crack in it almost, but Abel is unconcerned, so why should we be? End of the over, 4 without loss.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as muggy as it did during that afternoon session, so I wonder if the ball will do as much. Essex need some early breakthroughs though, just to put an element of doubt in the Somerset batsman's mind. I wonder how long it will take them to introduce Harmer into the proceedings.
Sure, we'll see him before the close.
Yeah, obviously it depends if wickets fall, but I suspect we'll see 10 overs of quick bowling and then Harmer being introduced from one end.
Well, he had an absolute wicket fest here, didn't he?
Yes, he's got, I can't remember what I think it's some 30 odd wickets in his last 2 or 3 games here.
Tremendous stuff. And against Hampshire, was it second innings wickets?
Yeah.
8 or so.
Yeah, I think he got 5 in the first as well.
So he's a big threat. In the meantime, it's going to be Peter Siddle, hugely experienced operator, bowling from the river end to Azhar Ali, who defends his first delivery of the match. Peter Siddle, the Australian. This is his second season with Essex. He was certainly playing last year.
Yep. Hey, he's been brilliant. Seems like a good fella as well. Nice to chat to.
Got a smile on his face at the moment as he turns below us. Right arm over the wicket, bowls to Azhar Ali, who could have chopped on quite easily there as he got a bottom edge onto it. He was trying to steer it out towards backward point, didn't get the whole bat on it. Goes down to do some pitch prodding. Siddle with the new ball in hand tries again, and this time Azhar Ali does get full bat on it, but can only find Ravi Bopara at backward point. It's pretty gloomy out there at the moment.
Yeah, there's no sign of any blue skies there. Certainly from where the weather's coming from. Can't see us getting a rain interruption, but light may be coming to shoot.
Siddle in again outside the off stump and left alone. Azhar Ali's been a bit short of runs since the Royal London Cup. 60 in the first innings against Surrey at Taunton, then 15 and a duck and 13 not out at Canterbury. Finished things off with a target of just 30 with Tom Abel, who's watching at the other end at the moment as Siddle bowls and Azhar defends.
But we're only 11 balls into the Somerset innings, but already it doesn't look like the ball's doing as much.
Black-headed gull flies overhead as Siddle turns. Goes in past umpire Nick Cook. Bowls outside the off stump, doesn't require a stroke, and none is offered by Azhar Ali, so Siddle starts with a maiden. Still 4 without loss, just that one boundary off the first ball of the innings from Tom Abel.
Yeah, well, they're not in a rush, are they, Somerset? Ideally, they only really want to bat once on this pitch. Don't really want to be facing Simon Harmer in a 4th innings.
So a new over for Jamie Porter to the Somerset captain, who defends out to extra cover. Tenduscarter is the fielder. Great to see some former Essex cricketers out on the outfield during the tea interval.
Yes, they were celebrating the 1979 Cup win.
Yes, Graham Gooch was out there, Ray East, David Ackfield, John Lever. He's an Essex special, isn't he?
Yeah.
Here comes Porter, and Abel is forward, defending on the leg side this time. And they were presented with a commemorative flag. Bumped into Derek Pringle as well.
Yes, he's doing a book signing.
Walking round the back, nice to see him. Porter leans into his approach, bowls to Tom Abel, who's going to pick up a single here as he turns it to square leg. So Abel will move along to 5, along with the total. Somerset bowling Essex out for 216 here at Chelmsford, and that after they were 126 for 1. Wickets falling regularly thereafter, shared between Jamie Overton, Jack Leach, Lewis Gregory and Jamie Overton. Porter bowls and Azhar Ali defends. Somerset be keen to see the day out without damage. Got another 13 overs to do that, plus the 2 remaining deliveries in this one from Jamie Porter, and Azhar Ali cuts that and is going to get 4 for it, down to third man. Nicely timed. Didn't need to hit it too hard, and it sailed away. So Azhar Ali off the mark in similar style to Tom Abel, though not to his first delivery. Nine without loss, Somerset, in the 3rd over of their reply. Porter bowls, and this is driven, and that would have been another 4 but for the fact that it went straight into the middle stump at the other end.
Can't get much straighter than that, can you? That was a lovely shot.
That's a terribly bad luck on the batsman, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's beautifully executed.
Smashed into the middle stump at the non-striker's end. He's absolutely creamed that down down the middle of the pitch.
And it then didn't go anywhere, did it? After it had hit the stumps, just fell dead. So, Azhar Ali deprived of what would have been a 2nd consecutive boundary.
There's talk, well I was reading the other day, there's talk that those new stumps, the ones that light up for the World Cup, the bales are too heavy because they've all got batteries in them.
And that's why they occasionally haven't been removed. As Siddle starts a new over, that's a beauty.
Yeah.
Played and missed by Tom Abel. That's the first full shot we've seen from the Somerset openers. And Abel responds by doing some gardening. So often is the response, isn't it?
That's a Jaffa from Siddle. Good length, lifting. Batsman did well not to get an edge on that.
Tries again, Peter Siddle, and this one is played to backward point by Tom Abel, fielded by Ravi Bapara. No run.
A few choice words from Siddle.
In Australian.
Yeah.
He's got the ball back now. A tremendous career, this guy. Heading in again. To Abel.
Another beauty.
Yeah, I think he held his bat inside the line of that, Tom Abel. It was a good ball. Corridor of uncertainty. Which is a good over. Hasn't had a run taken off him yet, Peter Siddle. Started with a maiden. 2 dot balls thus far. In he goes again, and this time Abel defends firmly but unproductively out to Bapara, cover. It's about as gloomy as it's been all day at the moment.
Yeah. Floodlights just coming up.
Yeah, that's a good move from the umpires. Take a while to power up.
I do.
These floodlights, as Siddle runs in again outside the off stump and left alone. They've got well, they're sort of twin pylons, aren't they? There are 4 sets of twins.
Yep.
So 8 pylons in all.
I suppose Essex would have been one of the first grounds to get floodlights.
As Somerset have been one of the last.
Yeah. Look good though at Somerset.
They do.
Yeah.
They do, and they're state-of-the-art LED bulbs. As Siddle is in again to Abel, who's going to get runs off the inside edge here, down to long leg. That wasn't where he was planning. Gets away with it, and Siddle is irritated, not least because that's the first run that's come off him.
Yeah, he's getting the ball to talk out there, and he's certainly rushing the batsman. He's low to mid 80s, but it's quite a powerful unit. Is Peter Siddle. Still think he can do a job for Australia. Not obviously in the side to start for them. We've got a battery of fast bowlers, but he's one hell of a player to have as a backup in the squad.
Yes, he was over here in 2009, Peter Siddle. Made an effective contribution to that Ashes series. As Jamie Porter starts a new over, Tom Abel defends from the crease. Out on the offside, Tender Scarter is always lively in the field. I recall this from last year. He's at mid-off. And like Tom Abel, actually, it's good to have an energetic fielding captain. Sets an example.
It does. Paul Newton's come back with some strawberry ice cream, very nice. Looks like proper ice cream as well, not your Mr. Whippy.
Here comes Porter. Bowling to Tom Abel, who shakes to turn that away to leg, and that might be the key to why the appeal from bowler and slip cordon has been turned down. It's the best suggestion I can give. It may have just been slipping down the leg side. Can't have been far away though.
Loud appeal. Umpire unmoved.
Graham Lloyd is up there at the Hayes close end. A good long look. Given a couple so far today already. Here is Porter, and Abel gets full bat on this time. Just pushes it out on the leg side. Fielded at mid-wicket. Yeah, they're pretty much full power now, the floodlights. Beginning to make a difference on this rather gloomy evening here in Chelmsford. Essex bowled out for 216. Somerset in the early stages of their reply, 10 without loss. Porter in, outside the off stump and left alone. So just the one batting point for Essex, all 3 bowling points for Somerset. .30 points separating the two sides at the start of the game. Somerset leading Division 1, Essex a third. Hampshire the team in between, who were trounced by Essex here last week. Here's Porter. Bowling to Abel, and that's close to being a catch in the gully. It's gone down to the third man boundary, but it was airborne. It's a diving attempt. I don't think it goes down as a chance. He didn't get a hand to it.
He didn't get a hand to it. Lawrence diving away to his left hand side. It went quickly. It went about 8 yards or 2 to his left. It would have been a stunning catch if he'd have taken it, but like I said, I don't think he got his hand to it. Sharp. But goes down to the boundary.
Takes the total on to 14 without loss. Abel goes into double figures. Porter in again. And he's bowled him off the inside edge, I fancy. No, in fact, I think they were appealing for caught behind, and what's happened is that Tom Abel has stood his ground and Graham Lloyd has given it not out.
Yeah, I think if it's taken anything, it's probably the thigh pad as it's come through, but it's certainly not bowled. I was looking at the bails there, because it did look as if it touched something on the way through, but the bails are intact.
The bails, they're very similar colour to the pitch. Yeah. That's my excuse. But such was the response from the Essex fielders. They looked absolutely certain.
Yeah, no, it definitely touched something. It must have been the thigh pad as it went through.
Yeah, bizarre moment as Siddle starts a new over and Azhar Ali leaves outside the off stump. Tom Abel looked completely unruffled about the whole thing. Just sort of took a couple of steps off towards short leg. Seemed absolutely convinced that whatever it did graze or brush, it wasn't the bat or the glove. Here goes Peter Siddle, and Azhar Ali will pick up more runs here. Certainly a single, it could be two. Abel wants two, and they'll get it comfortably. The throw was to the striker's end, and Azhar Ali just had to up the pace a little bit to complete that second, but safely home. 14 without loss. Abel is 10, Azhar Ali is 4. And this in reply to Essex's 216. Away goes Peter Siddle, and Azhar Ali leaves a ball that's outside his off stump. It's not often you see such a convinced appeal and celebration and find it given not out. It was quite strange. Felt absolutely sure, the Essex fielders. Azhar Ali settles. Siddle is into him again, and this one he just defends with a near dead bat, pushes it up to mid-on. Perhaps Aaron Beard, the fielder there, is it? Number 14?
It is.
See him into the attack possibly, and Simon Harmer we've already mentioned. In the meantime though, it's the new ball pairing of Porter and Siddle, who's into bowl to Azhar Ali outside the off stump and left alone. Still overcast skies here at Chelmsford. Somerset 16 without loss. This will be the last ball of Siddle's over, then there are 10 left before Stumps. Siddle in, and appeal for LBW here. Looked close. Siddle was up fractionally after the slips.
Height, I reckon, is an issue there.
Not far off though. But Azhar Ali survives. A nervy moment or two.
Yeah, I mean
Somerset.
they're creating chances, aren't they, Essex? Nothing coming through for them at the moment, but they're certainly appealing.
Yes, and very much an attacking field. Still 3 slips and a gully as Jamie Porter starts a new over, bowling to Tom Abel, who defends firmly up to mid-off.
It's good cricket from both teams. Batsmen sticking in there. Bowlers really trying to attack.
It's proper championship cricket, isn't it? Essex keen to make a breakthrough after being dismissed for that 216. None yet. Porter tries again. It's bowled to Abel, and this one he gets even a shade of an inside edge. Went out to mid-wicket, fielded there by Nick Brown.
Yeah, they're trying to play the ball as late as possible, this opening pair. So perhaps it is doing something either through the air or off the pitch. Maybe seaming about a little bit.
It's still very new, that ball, just 6 overs old.
Do well to survive this period.
Porter sets off once more from the Hayes close end. This is pushed out into the covers by Tom Abel. Wants a single, will get it comfortably. He played it between the two fielders, Bapara and Tendascarter. So he will move to 11 with that, and the total to 17 without loss. Porter turns and runs in to bowl this time to Azhar Ali, who watchfully defends. Back to the bowler. Crowd fully engaged with this. And a good number of people who've decided to spend their Sunday watching a cricket match.
It's a pretty good turnout.
Porter on his way. Azhar Ali just plays that with soft hands down into the gully. It's fielded by Lawrence. No run. Porter. This will be the last ball of the over. Bowled to Azhar Ali, who once again firmly defends out on the offside. This time it's Bapara who's the fielder. At a backward point, Azhar Ali stays on 6, Tom Abel is 11. Somerset are 17 without loss, so that puts them 199 behind.
And shockingly, we're not going to finish too far after the 6 o'clock mark either.
Yeah, well, we've seen a bit of spin, haven't we, today from Jack Leach, which always helps the over rate. Peter Siddle is going to continue. 3 overs for 3 runs so far. Miserly, as you expect. Ooh, this one hits Tom Abel on the pad as he's shaping to turn it to leg. An appeal that never quite presents itself fully.
No, it didn't get going, did it? I wonder if there's a bit of bat on that as well.
Maybe a bit of bat, maybe leg. Just certainly playing to leg.
Siddle wasn't interested.
Has the ball back now, Peter Siddle. Sweatbands on both arms as he runs in again. Bowls to Abel, who drives, good looking stroke through extra cover. Will it be 4 this time? We haven't seen the ball go all the way to that boundary, but this time it does. Just has the legs to do it. It's slowed up, and I wondered whether it was going to be similar to several we saw that ended up going for 3 in the Essex innings, but that's gone all the way. Another boundary for Tom Abel. Good looking stroke.
Yeah, it sounded nice when it came off the bat.
He's on to 15. 21 without loss. First boundary off Peter Siddle, which won't please him one iota. On his way in again. What will his response be? Full length delivery on off stump, which is defended up to Tendascarter at mid off. So Somerset 21 without loss. The captain on strike, and Siddle bowls to him. He defends crisply to Ravi Bapara. Cover. Bapara, whose dismissal was rather an odd one, really. He was going for a pull shot but didn't seem fully committed to it, or alternatively we felt that the ball might have stopped on him a little.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a skyer to mid-on and a very straightforward catch. Siddle in again to Abel, who defends up to mid-on. Something that I'll be asking. I'm hoping to have a chat with Jamie Overton after Stumps, and I'll ask him about that, about how the way the pitch is playing, and whether that had anything to do with that particular dismissal. Always gives extra insight into how things have gone during a day. You get the views of a player. I'll be able to talk about that in the morning. As Siddle goes in again outside the off stump, and no stroke required or offered by Tom Abel. End of the 7th over of the Somerset innings, 21 without loss, Abel 15. Azhar Ali is 6, so just the one scoring stroke in that over, which went all the way to the extra cover boundary. And I think it's probably time for a change for the last 8 overs.
It is. You can put your feet up.
I'll hand over to you, David, for commentary, and Paul will come in beside you.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Stephen Lamb from BBC Radio Somerset. It's been a pleasure. I'll be back tomorrow for day 2 of this contest. For the time being, though, Porter continuing from the Hayes close end. 21 for no loss, Somerset. As this one's full, pushed away into the leg side, but thickish inside edge, and it's going to go wide of mid-on, and it's going to be a run to the total. 22 for no loss, as our alley goes to 7.
And as you were saying, the atmosphere has changed considerably in the last hour. It's actually quite chilly out there now, as distinct from the very humid conditions earlier. And although there was always a little bit of a breeze, it wasn't much of one, whereas now, if you stand in the way of it, you soon begin to reach for your pullover.
Porter coming in again, and he bowls. That's down the leg side, flicked away. It's going to come off a pad. I think it's going to be a leg by, is it? Sure, the umpire. No, it's going to be a run to the total. Wheatley Fields 23 for no loss. Abel goes to 16.
It's going to be interesting to see if there is a tendency in this game for your best chance as a batsman being when the ball is new, ironically, because we saw some lovely drives early in Essex's innings, but they dried up after lunch as the ball got softer.
Porter running in now, and he's up to the stumps, and he bowls, and that one's defended into the leg side, fielded at mid-wicket, and there's no run. 23 for no loss. Essex eventually skittled out for 216, losing 9 wickets for 90 runs.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen to any side on any one occasion, and fair play, Somerset bowled very well, and the ball was doing quite a bit to help the bowlers in a way that hadn't been the case in the morning. But having said that, it's happening too often for Essex. I think everyone would have to acknowledge 6 of 7 games have been distinct collapses.
Porter in again, bowls. That's left alone by Ali, and allowed to go through to the wicketkeeper, and it's a dot ball. And just said that, it's got a little bit lighter outside, isn't it?
It has. You're absolutely right, and maybe this breeze getting up has just, if not blown the clouds away, certainly led to them lifting. It was particularly oppressive, I thought, in the hour before tea. It really got very gloomy indeed, and couldn't have been far off the floodlights being switched on then.
Here comes Porter again, and on his toes, Azhar Ali just pushes out into the offside, and it's a dot ball.
Good joint effort from the Somerset bowlers today. I was particularly impressed with Jamie Overton. He got 3 wickets. Jack Leach at the end got 3 wickets. Tim Grinnevald only got 1, but I thought he bowled very well. 17 useful overs. I think he went for 41. Lewis Gregory 3 wickets, so they all contributed to the overall cause.
Porter, Fuller this time, and again a leave outside the off stump. That's the end of the over. 7 overs remaining in the day. Somerset 23 for no loss. And I get the feeling they'll just be happy to reach the close of play with no wickets down, maybe 10, 15 extra runs on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. South Africa 195 for 6, 196 for 6 now in the 42nd over, surely needing an impossible 309 to win. Someone's going to have to bat phenomenally well to rescue South Africa's cause, and it looks as if it's going to continue a really dismal tournament for the South Africans.
Siddle continuing, takes the outside edge of the bat. It's all on the ground, played with soft hands. A couple of bounces before it reached the slip, and they go through for a single. Misfield, 25 for no loss in the 10th over of the Somerset reply.
Warwickshire are 86 for 1 in the 21st over, replying to Surrey's 194 all out. So although they've lost the wicket of Rhodes, who I think I heard made 51, Warwickshire have been all over Surrey today.
Siddle turns at the top of his mark and he comes in again, bowls, and that's left alone by Ali. Through to the wicketkeeper, dot ball.
Gloucester 168 for 1 against Glamorgan. Both those counties, in fact that's close of play there, and well, it says that here. They seem to have finished early there. No, it can't be. It's got Stumps there, but it can't be close of play well before 6 o'clock, I'd have thought. But one thing is true, and that is that Gloucester and Glamorgan have both had some very high scoring games recently.
Siddle coming in again, floodlights on here, but it's got a little bit lighter. That's full, that's driven not entirely convincingly out through the offside. It's going to be a single as Tendescala does a slide, field and throw, and gets a round of applause from the Essex spectators in front of us. Good bit of fielding from the captain.
I would feel from Essex's point of view that unless a wicket goes down literally immediately, Simon Harmer's got to bowl the last 3 overs from the river end. I expected him to come on for the over currently being bowled, not because Siddle's bowling poorly, but simply Simon Harmer has carried all before him of late.
25 for no loss as Siddle comes in again to Abel, and that's allowed to go through to the wicketkeeper and a dot ball. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I thought this would be around about the time that Harmer would come on as well, but
yeah, because you know it wouldn't make much sense just to give him only 1 over this evening, and of course we've seen Harmer come into the attack. I think it was about the 6th over in the previous victory over Hampshire here, and that paid off immediately, and I would have felt that he might well have been bowling at least for a couple of overs by now.
Siddle bowls shorter. Oh, is he chopped down onto his stumps? No, it's gone straight behind and through to the wicketkeeper on the bounce. Thought for a minute there he'd taken out his off stump.
Well, that's right, we're masked by the batsman in an event like that, so you wonder, well, where's that gone? But I suppose the giveaway in the end was the lack of any excitement from the slip cordon, who would have been able to see exactly what had happened. No response from them, but good delivery from Peter Siddle. Could easily have taken a wicket.
On ball left in the over. 6 overs remaining after this as Siddle comes in, bowls full. Oof, and that one jagging back a little bit. Wasn't too far away from the off stump. Draws oohs and ahs from the Essex players out on the field, and that's the end of the over. 25 for no loss. Abel on 17, Ali on 8. Remember, Essex bowled out for 216.
Good day's county championship cricket here. Not long for minute stuff, not sort of sixes disappearing over the stands, but Essex having a very good morning, 110 for 1. Somerset having a terrific afternoon, and they reduced Essex to 192 for 6 at tea, and there was little resistance from the tail. 216 all out. So the current runaway leaders at the top of the championship, I think, will feel they've had the better of the day, albeit they'll know that it'll be quite a task facing the Essex attack tomorrow.
Porter down the slope, bowls to Ali, or another thick inside edge. That ball's doing something off the pitch. It's fielded at mid-wicket, so there's no run. It's Nick Brown doing the fielding.
I mean, the point would be it's a decent enough start by Somerset, but not one that would persuade you that it's going to be plain sailing for them to build up a big lead. They may yet get one, but anybody watching this would know that that ball is still doing plenty to help the bowlers, and I have the feeling as well, if the Essex innings is anything to go by, that it can get more difficult as the ball gets older than less.
Porter up to Stumps, right arm over, bowls, oh, another thick inside edge, this time off the pads and just dribbling away outside that off stump. Oh, riding his luck here a little bit. Both batsmen are riding their luck a little bit. 25 for no loss. You can't get much closer than that.
No, absolutely. That was very, very close indeed to seeing the end of Azhar Ali. And he's got something in his eye at the moment, so we'll have a slight delay while he but perhaps removes a fly. He puts his helmet back on. I think he's got the job done now. But that one certainly ducked back sharply, as a lot of Porter deliveries do, and could so easily have disappeared into the stumps.
Lots of insects floating about today. It's the muggy weather that brings them out. Here comes Porter, bowls, and that takes an outside edge along the ground. That's towards Gully.
Yes, I think Essex, David, might well feel, even assuming Somerset get through without losing a wicket tonight, but I don't think Essex will be by any means downhearted at this stage, because that ball, we've seen 3 in a row now, really trouble Azhar Ali. And if the Essex innings is anything to go by, as I say, as the ball got softer, I think batting got harder.
Porter running in again, past the umpire, up to Stumps, bowls to Ali, and Ali covers up nicely with that one. Defensive to the offside, thinking about taking a quick single, a bit of yes, no, and eventually Abel sent back. Probably a wise decision. It went straight to Ryan Tenderscarter, who would have had a clear shot at the stumps with Ali only halfway down the pitch.
Yeah, he had to make a few yards to his left Tenderscarter, but I think it was almost the case, was he trying to lure them into a trap by not immediately reacting to field the ball, because it would have been a foolhardy single to take to such a good fieldsman.
Porter coming again. Best weather of the day so far. That's turned away into the leg side off the hips of Ali. No run to mid-wicket. 25 for no loss. 5 dots in a row.
Well, I think you can take the shilling out of the meter now, if you're in charge of putting the floodlights on or off, because they're simply not needed. We have the only genuine sunny interval of the entire proceeding currently.
Yeah, I can see the guilty party. There's a break in the clouds just away to our right hand side.
There's also some quite threatening cloud just behind it. We're nearly through with the day, so don't think there'll be any problem.
Yeah, 5 overs left after this as Porter's in again. It's gone through to the wicketkeeper Wheater, and he's ridden his luck earlier in that over, and eventually Porter gets his man a beautiful delivery, full of length, lifting off that length, bringing the batsman forward and nicking it through to the keeper Wheater. Ali goes for 8, caught Wheater, bowled Porter, and Somerset at 25 for 1. And still it seems like this pitch is doing something for the bowlers. Well,
what a good over that was. 4 times in the over. Porter beat the bat, and the final time, just a little wispy edge through to Adam Wheater. Sees Essex get the breakthrough. They've been threatening all the way through, really. Not that Somerset have played poorly, but this is a pitch which helps the bowler, judged by today. We saw Essex reduced from 126 for 1 to 216 all out, and it doesn't look any easier now that Somerset are at the crease. Tom Abel has also, in addition to playing 1 or 2 handsome shots, but he's also needed luck to be on his side from time to time. So it's Azhar Ali caught Wheater, bowled Porter 8, 3 overs to come after this one. Very good day's play. No, I've got that wrong, haven't I? You said 5 overs, you were right. 5 overs to come. We'll finally get it right. What's the score in the Women's International, Dave?
It is 3-0 to England.
Well, I'd rather fancy them to go through to the quarter-finals in that case. Tournament, we don't like to mix too much football into the cricket, but just while the players were off, just wanted to know, as I've followed the tournament fairly keenly, not least because I haven't seen anything else I remotely want to watch on the television recently. It's been awful, so I've enjoyed it actually. The women's football taking a bigger and bigger part in the great world of sport. So Porter got his breakthrough, one of many wickets to fall to the last ball of an over today.
Siddle in bowls, and that's wide of off. So it's a bit of a misfield as well. It's running all the way down towards the boundary. I think Wheater's going to haul it in. It's going to be buys, I would suggest, and just one of them, so it doesn't cost too much in the end. 26 for 1. It's just a bit of mishandling there from Adam Wheater. I wonder if Cook got in his way a little bit.
Yes, well, I'm sure he'd like to latch onto any excuse you might find for him. It was a mistake, and you could tell that by the zeal with which he almost panic with which he chased the ball back. And to be fair to him, he actually is a very good outfieldsman when he's not wearing the wicket-keeping gloves, and he made terrific ground to haul that ball back in time to prevent a second bye. I continue to be surprised that we're not seeing Simon Harmer into the Essex attack, which is not to say that Peter Siddle is at all easy for the Somerset batsman to negotiate.
This is interesting. Lawrence has come quite tight into third slip. He's almost a fourth slip in there, Lawrence. That's an LBW appeal. That's got to be close. Not out. Oof, he's going down leg side. He's saying that looks... Well, it looked plumb from up here, but it certainly... height wasn't an issue.
The wags in the Essex press box when I was in making myself a cup of tea. And Jeff Arnold, former Surrey and England batsman, is in there today. I think... don't know if he is. No, he's not the official cricket liaison officer, but he's here watching the game. And they were ribbing Arnold, or trying to provoke him into reaction, saying these umpires are terrible. They're as biased as anything. Fingers kept going up when Essex were batting.
Siddle in again, bowls, and that's left alone outside the off stump. There didn't look a huge amount wrong with that. We can't tell because we're not directly over the umpire's shoulder, but that looked pretty good shout.
Yes, well, it did look a good shout, and all one can say is we're not in the ideal position to see it, but you'd certainly have been amazed if there hadn't been quite a loud appeal, and you would not have been surprised had the finger gone up. But Nick Cook, he's in the best position, ruling, and I'm sure he'll be right, that it was just possibly going down.
So I should have mentioned Grunveld is the new batsman. That's another LBW appeal. That's got to be close again, and the umpire turns it down. Huge appeal. Inside edge, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think there was actually, but you're quite rightly trying to find a way that couldn't have been out, because it really looked as though Grunewald would have to go there. He's a more than capable night watchman, Tim Grunewald. Saw quite a bit of him in his Derbyshire days. Good cricketer, but he's certainly riding his luck, and maybe a third appeal could do the trick for Peter Siddle.
Siddle's got it. Aim for the stumps here. Just had a long conversation with Cook. Here comes Siddle again. Bowls full, and this time Gruneveld's right on top of the bounce and defends back down the pitch, and it's a dot ball.
I think Peter Siddle there gasped in horror, not from anything to the batsman, but he just about got a finger on that, and I think he felt Tom Abel would have been out of his ground if it had gone into the stumps at the bowler's end, but it didn't. But yeah, I think that's what aggrieved Siddle on that occasion.
Another eventful over. Somerset are 26 for 1, and Siddle just pulls out of his run up there. He's going to ask for a field change, so backward point is Ravi Bapara, and he's just taken about a few more steps back towards the boundary, so it's going midway between the wicket and the boundary. Yeah, and also mid-wicket's gone right back out towards the boundary there. They'd be delighted for Grunewald to pinch the bowling here. Siddle in. Bowls again. That's left alone outside the off-stump. Good lead by Grunewald, and that's the end of the over. 4 overs left. Somerset 26 for 1. Let's see what they do. Well, Harmer won't bowl from the... Well, he shouldn't bowl from the Hayes close end. No, and of course that was a good over from Peter Siddle, and you'd be hard put to it to say he ought to come out of the attack. It's just that Simon Harmer has wreaked such havoc so often, particularly in Essex's 3 home games this season, all of which they've won. But certainly I think the verdict on the opening day's play, they will be pretty much watch this space, because both these sides are very good sides. They could easily be at the end of the season first and second, and you know, you just wouldn't know really who's in the better position the way things are going. Porter from the Hayes close end bowls to Abel, and he drives up the ground but straight to the man at mid-on, who is Peter Siddle. The remaining batting to come for Somerset: James Hildreth, Tom Banton, George Bartlett, Stephen Davis, Lewis Gregory, Tim Gruneveld's already out there, Jamie Overton, Jack Leach and Jack Brooks. And cricket's so much more of a better game when there's a decent battle going on between bat and ball. Absolutely right. I think everybody who follows the game regularly would agree on that. Porter down the slope again, bowls to Abel. That's full, driven, but he Can't beat the man at mid-off this time on the bounce. Tendescarter fields, and it's a dot ball.
Yeah, put differently, it's a better game when wickets fall. However good the batting may have been on the day, if it's sort of 373 for 1 at the close of play on day one of a championship match, it doesn't, for me, if I'm sitting as a neutral at home and wondering whether to go to wherever the game is being played, it doesn't beg for me to turn up the next day to watch it.
Yeah, and I'll come to that point after. And Lawrence has gone a little bit wider now, but conventional gully as his next delivery is just turned off the hips by Abel. He runs hard for the first one. They're going to come back for a second. They won't. Nick Brown quick in off the boundary to get the throw in from mid-wicket, and a run to the total 27 for 1. It's the same point with the World Cup cricket. Most of the boring games have been the ones which have racked up close to 400.
That's right, and the ones, even with a side like India, where you expect them against Afghanistan to get nearly 400, and in the end they didn't get that much over 200. But what a game it produced, with wonderful tension there, and certainly probably on an absolute road, Afghanistan wouldn't have had a chance in that game, but on a pitch which would do a little bit to stifle the natural stroke players, they weren't that far off causing the greatest upset of all time in a World Cup.
Now Lawrence has gone back into 4 slip as Porter bowls. Oh, that's left alone again. Oh, and just jagging back. That wasn't too far from the off stump of Grunewald.
I sometimes wonder if these players during the winter go for a special course at RADA, where they practice how to look aggrieved, how to try and con batsmen, particularly the less experienced ones, into thinking that they're in real trouble. Because Porter there, he did bowl an off-cutter that didn't miss the stumps by all that much, but he stood in mid-pitch with his hands covering his face as though he was the unluckiest man alive.
Porter bowls Grunewald. Oh, and Grunewald didn't see that one coming. That's a short, nasty bounce. He gets out of the way of it, but he was Grunewald was setting himself there for a full-length delivery, and at the very last moment had to just duck under that bouncer. That could have been nasty.
It could. I thought he negotiated it rather well, actually. As I say, he's no mug with the bat, Tim Grunewald. And Porter there, a beauty. He hasn't actually bowled as well in this over as he did in the previous one when he got the wicket of Azhar Ali. It really was an outstanding over on that occasion. But you still wouldn't want to be facing him with little to gain at the very end of the day and your wicket to lose.
It's coming up to 10 past 6, and at the end of this over there'll be 3 more to go. Porter just making a slight adjustment to the field. They're bringing mid-wicket in. In fact, it's just in front of the square on the leg side. It's Nick Brown. 4 slips for Grunewald as Porter bowls. That one's left alone outside the off stump. Disappointing end to the over. 3 left. Somerset at 27 for 1.
Well, where you could criticise Porter for 3 of those deliveries at Grunewald is that Peter Siddle bowled straight at him in the previous over and was perilously close to having him LBW twice, whereas Porter bowling outside off stump, it wasn't that they were ranked bad deliveries or anything like that, but they were deliveries that would have been better intended for a top order batsman rather than the Nightwatchman. Anyway, it's going to continue to be Peter Siddle, and I must admit it would be a ticklish call for Tendescarter. I know he'd love to bowl Simon Harmer, but how can you take a man off who bowled as good an over as Siddle did in his previous over?
Here comes Siddle from the river end, and he bowls full. That's a left alone. That seemed to jag back a little bit as well. It ended up being taken down the leg side by Adam Wheater. 27 for 1. We're in the 14th over of the Somerset response. But Essex bowled out for 216, having been 126 for 1 at one point just after lunch.
Yeah, decent 29 from Nick Brown, a thoroughly dependable 80 from Alistair Cook, a promising but in the end not fulfilling 36 from Tom Wesley. The rest, I'm afraid, not very many.
Siddle in, that's full, that's clipped away off the pads by Abel. That's a good shot. That's going to go for 4 down towards Cow Corner. That's a lovely strike actually from Abel, just leant on the delivery right out the middle of the bat and raced along the floor to the boundary rope.
Speaks well of the qualities that Tom Abel must have to have sort of come in as a rookie and captain this side, and side doing so well. And here we are in the closing overs. You would sort of expect a player to be bent on defence and survival, but he saw a ball that said hit me on it and duly obliged.
31 for 1 as Siddle comes in. That one's shorter, back of a length, and that bounces high over the stumps and through to the wicketkeeper.
He's played well here, Tom Abel, and clearly his stature is growing with each season that he continues to bear the mantle of captaincy, which has been too much for many players over the years. A lot of them have sort of given up the ghost in less than 2 years of having the captaincy, so well done to him.
Nick Cook again in animated conversation with Peter Siddle, who's coming in now. Bowls to Abel, and that's all well wide of off stump. Easy leave for the Somerset captain.
Yes, after getting the breakthrough, which was coming, and Essex had bowled really well to get it, they've actually bowled rather poorly, and since then there have been probably as many deliveries as not that haven't obliged the batsmen to play.
Yeah, just lost their line and length a little bit. As Siddle turns again at the top of his mark. He's past umpire Cook now, right arm over up to Stumps. So that's a better delivery, but I think Abel just took his bat inside the line there. That's allowed to go through to the wicketkeeper Wheatley.
Yeah, good delivery that time, but the over, nothing like as good as the one Peter Siddle bowled before it from the river end. And there is some, well, I won't say that it really looks like rain, but some quite heavy cloud making its way in this direction, but it won't be in time to prevent a full day's play today, and a very absorbing day it's been as well.
Siddle, number 64 on his back, he's up to the stumps, he bowls full, and that's attacking the stumps, and Abel gets his bat down on it, and it's a dot ball. That's the end of the over, 2 left. Somerset 31 for 1 here on BBC Essex, BBC Radio, Somerset online as well, bbc.co.uk. Are you back tomorrow, Paul?
I am. Yourself?
No, I'm back at my day job.
Ah, right.
Who's joining you? Is it Dick?
If it's not Dick, I think it must be Nick.
It's Nick.
It's Nick.
Ah, thank you. Julius, our scorer, obliges from the back of the box. Julius,
do notice as well, Julius has hung around right to the end, whereas Dave Jackman,
yeah,
half-day Jackman we call him.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we may have to give him the elbow here. Julius, a 15-year-old schoolboy, very keen cricketer, and doing a grand job scoring behind us here for work experience.
Porter in, bowls. Oh, is that taking an edge? That's a beauty, lifting off a length. And again, the batsman did well not to get an edge on that. 31 for 1. Well, hopefully he's learnt a lot from Dave today. Hopefully the one thing he hasn't learnt is that you can't get away with just doing half a day's work.
Yeah, it was a good delivery from Porter, that, and it would have had a better chance of getting a top order batsman out. That was just too good for the lower order Tim Grunewald, who's, as I say, he's no mug with the bat, but obviously not a James Hildreth.
He's facing a testing spell from Porter, the bowls, and that time on his toes just jabs the bat down on the ball, and it's guided to Ravinder Bapara, who's coming at gully. There's 4 slips and a gully at the moment, mid-off, mid-on and a mid-wicket.
Looks like probably they're off for the day at the Oval. Bad light has stopped play with Warwickshire, who've had a terrific day. 89 for 1, replying to Surrey's 194. Warwickshire are looking for their 3rd win in 4 games, coming from the bottom of the table, and Surrey, the reigning champions, still looking for their first victory of the season. Porter in again, bowls. That's flipped off the hips of Grunewald. I'll just take a single down towards fine. That surprises me slightly. 32 for 1. Isn't he there to protect the batsman? Yep, good point. It is the Nightwatchman's job, but then again, Tom Abel doesn't strike me as a bloke who particularly wants to be protected. He's a confident young man. Probably didn't start off that way when he first got the captaincy, but he's done very, very well since then. Really, now, I mean, he's put himself up to open. Still 3 balls left in the over as well. Essex will be absolutely delighted if they can get Abel. As Porter comes in, bowls to Abel, and Abel just jabs out into the offside. There's no run. His foot movement's good, Tom Abel, actually. Gets a good stride in, even to the quicker bowlers. And that has to be the right technique on a pitch which certainly at times towards the end of the Essex innings was keeping low. Simon Harmer is now variously looking either as if he's in urgent need of hospital attention or that he's expecting to bowl the final over, which I'm pretty sure he will do.
Porter back at the top of his mark. The breeze picks up again. The sun's just started to dip behind the clouds, so we're going into a bit of darker period as Porter bowls, easily left alone by Abel. Just one delivery left in this over, and then I would expect that he won't be facing another delivery for the rest of the day.
Yeah, in that over where Jamie Porter worked out Azhar Ali and beat him 4 times in the over, the last occasion producing the wicket, he got a really good rhythm going and was putting the ball down in just the right place time after time. Since then, he just hasn't found that rhythm again, and his last couple of overs have been of a poorer quality.
In conversation with Ryan Tenderscarter again, so 4 slips come out and they've gone back to a gully and a point for Abel. A long conversation ensuing between Porter and Tenderscarter. I suggest just bowl it.
Yes, I think Tenderscarter's just saying to Porter, don't care what you do, just get him out.
And we switch back to the 4 slips and a gully.
Has to be right. You know, it's the last ball Porter will bowl tonight. If it goes for 4, fair enough.
And Bopara coming even closer. A gully, so 4 slips, a gully, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. As Porter runs in now, bowls, and that's lifted off a length, and Abel, I think, took his bat inside the line, but a good delivery to finish with for Porter. And see who's going to finish off from the river end. It will be Simon Harmer, so he'll just get the 1 over before the close of play. Seems a tiny bit of a waste, but Siddle was bowling well, to be fair.
Yes, nice finish, that last delivery from Porter. He hasn't quite had the overwhelming success of the previous couple of years. He's sort of got 2s and 3s pretty regularly rather than 5-wicket hauls, of which he took many, particularly in the 2017 season, when he got 74 wickets to help, along with Simon Harmer, who got 72 that year, to bowl Essex to the county championship. Simon Harmer is going great guns this season, the country's leading wicket taker. I think it's 42 wickets he's got already, and that includes, it's either 4 or 5 wicket hauls already this season. A couple of them have turned into 10 wicket hauls, and I am surprised he's only getting the 1 over tonight, but I'm sure he will make up for it with a terrific number of overs tomorrow. And certainly Jack Leach took 3 late wickets when Essex batted, and although the wickets didn't come about through massive amounts of turn, nevertheless I think there's plenty in this pitch to help all sorts of bowlers.
So Grunewald on strike for this final over. I can't see him handing over the strike to Abel, but we shall see. 32 for 1. And
always remember, if a wicket goes down at any stage, that will be it for the play today.
So leg slip, a short leg and a slip in, as this first delivery is defended back to the bowler, and there's no run, and pretty timely finish for once. Not too often we're finishing around this time. It's usually closer to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it helps to have had quite a few overs of Jack Leach earlier in the day.
There's Harmer bowls, and that one's defended into the leg side this time. No run.
In the Hampshire game, Essex v Hampshire a week ago, we actually finished pretty much bang on time.
Wow.
And so that was, as you say, that's a complete rarity.
Harmer in, and he bowls. That one's turned away into the leg side. They won't go for a run anyway. Backward square leg is coming in to do the fielding. 3 balls left in the day.
Cook at first slip, then we've got Ryan Tenderscarter forward short leg, and Ravinder Bopara backward short leg. And now Dan Lawrence is being brought up to short mid-wicket 10 yards from the bat.
Yeah, gets many men round the bat as possible as Harmer bowls. Oh, that one jags back in, and inside edge, I think. That's inside edge onto pads and just out towards backward square leg. 2 balls left in the day. Bring in the field.
Well, I think Simon Harmer holds the key to the match. He has in so many games since he joined Essex in 2017, and if he has the sort of success he's been having recently, then Essex is seemingly undercooked 216 rather, could yet turn out to be a very useful score. And so I think if Essex do end up winning the game, Harmer's name will repeatedly appear in the bowling column, and if they don't, well, then he won't have had as good a time.
Well, we are going to see a fielding change here. I think we're going to have someone under the helmet at silly point.
Yeah, pause while the extra helmet is being brought out. There are already several on the field among the Essex fieldsmen, but another one is coming out, and hence the delay. But yeah, it's fair to say, you know, I look at the Somerset scorecards for the season, and there have been significant contributions all the way around the team. For Essex, the batting really hasn't measured up to any significant degree. You know, they've got very few batting bonus points, but Simon Harmer has just made all the difference in the world. And if you have it's a team game. If you have an individual who's as overwhelming as Simon Harmer can be, you can win a game without necessarily being the better team.
So it's not going to be a silly point, it's going to be a we'll call that a leg gully.
Yeah, we sort of got forward short leg, backward short leg, and silly square leg.
Here comes Harmer, bowls, and he stumped, but he's kept his foot inside the crease. He played at that one, did Grunewald, and that just left him. And good keeping as well by Wheatley,
who immediately started walking off, and I thought, oh, he must think the batsman was out of his ground, but not so.
So, final ball of the day. Harmer in, bowls, that one turns, and that one's easily defended out, and that is the end of a thrilling day's cricket. As Somerset finished on 32 for 1, Essex all out 260, and we'll come back again to do it. Well, I won't, you will come back again to do it all again tomorrow.
Yep, perfectly summed up. A really enthralling day's play, and both sides will feel that they had moments where they did very well. Essex batted very well before lunch, Somerset bowled brilliantly after that, and although Essex have only got the 1 wicket to show for it this evening, batting does not look at all easy out there, and so everything to play for. Play hopefully will resume on time 11 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you very much today.